Welcome to Pivot Parenting, where we help parents of teens overcome regret and disappointment to find peace and connection in every situation. I'm Heather Frazier, your parenting expert. Journey with me to discover effective parenting tips, improve family relationships, and build a brighter future for your kids. Buckle up, things are about to get better. Hello, my friend. So excited to speak with you today about a very touchy subject. A lot of clients have severe struggles with trust, and justifiably so. It is such a charged point of parenting. Are we going to trust them to do what they say? Are we going to trust them to turn in their homework? Are we going to trust that they are telling us the truth? Can we trust in the future, in other people, that everything is going to work out? Can I trust that I will do my best as a parent? And trust can cause a lot of unnecessary wounds for us and our child when we aren't approaching it or understanding it properly. And I've seen this in real time in my own life and in so many of my clients. And so I think it's a really important topic. Today, we're going to cover 5 key points of trust. Why our teens break our trust, what trust really is and what it is not, what builds trust and what breaks it, why trust and love are separate, and this is great news, and how trust isn't necessary to parent well. You're definitely going to want to stick around for that last point if you have teenagers who you feel like if you can't trust them, then everything is shot and nothing is going to work out, and you might as well just throw up your arms and give up now. Not true. So that last point is how it's not necessary to parent well, to feel like you're doing a good job, and to connect with your teen. So important. Are you ready? Let's dive right in, my friend. Why teens break our trust. Understanding the reason behind whatever they're doing that you don't like, that makes you feel like you cannot trust them. Lies, sneaking, other unwanted behaviors. Super common for teens. I just want to pause for a second and point out that we all break trust all the time. And we keep a lot of trust too, but we all break trust because we all do what serves our best interest. We get to choose our best interest, and if it's something we'll like tomorrow or agree with tomorrow or not. The easy way to see this is how we break trust with ourselves. We do this all the time. Like going to bed on time. We've sworn we would, but then the hours roll by and it's wee hours of the morning or just really late, and we're still laying in bed scrolling or getting tasks checked off, only to feel so tired the next day and swear to ourselves that we will go to bed on time this morning. And then we get sucked into it again, and it's like this vicious cycle on repeat. Or yelling on our kids. We swear that we're never going to do it again. We feel terrible. We beat ourselves up. And we break our trust when we lose our temper on them, even though we've said we'd never do it again. Or eating a bunch of junk food or soda until we're sick. It's basically anything that we do that we regret later and we swear we'll never do again. If you're like me, I've sworn off sugar more times than I can count. And yet somebody's birthday rolls around, or it's 3 p.m. in the afternoon and I just need me some sugar. And I break my own trust. Why do we do this? Because we are choosing an immediate gratification behavior over the one that gets us closer to our chosen goal. So we can tell our kids, you're going to lose your phone or the car keys or whatever if you don't get your chores done or your homework done, or if you aren't nice or whatever it is. And they'll say, I know, I'm going to do it, I'm on it. And then they don't. That's what they've chosen as their best interest. That's why they're breaking the trust of whatever it is. To varying degrees, We all break trust with ourselves and others, choosing an immediate gratification behavior over the one that we've committed to that gets us closer to our chosen goal. We don't want to fight with our spouse, but sometimes they just make us so angry and we break that trust of being kind and safe for our spouse. So can you see how maybe your teen chooses to please their friends over you? In Western culture, as kids hit adolescence, they shift from having a more significant opinion or draw to family to peers. So they care more about what their peers think than their families think generally in Western culture. We all want what we want and how we want it. And this is lovely when our teens' desires align with our desires. It's not as lovely when they don't. And this is compounded when they can't be honest about it for fear of our rejection or withdrawals of love. Now, I will say lying is a huge trust breaker. If you want more on lying, I think it's either episode 100 or 99, but you can search in the search bar of my website. Just Lying Teens is the title of my #1 downloaded and listened to podcast. Because every parent gets really frustrated about their lying little lie mouth teenager. And I addressed just lying in entirety in that episode. It's really valuable. If you're really upset about lying, listen to that episode after you're done with me here. But first, let's cover trust. There is some overlap, but there's a lot of distinctions in this episode I don't make in that one. So again, our kids are going to break our trust and not tell us and not come to us when they fear our reaction. You should expect your teen to have their own ideas and desires that don't match yours. Who they date, activities they choose, activities they want to give up, the future that they want. Help them to be their best self, not to be your best self of them. Let me repeat that. We want to help them be the best self of who they are choosing to be, and definitely expect them to make stupid decisions, because we all do. It's a compliment if they tell you about it before you find out. That means you're doing something right. Okay, 2, what trust really is and isn't. Let's clarify some misconceptions about trust and parenting. First off, trust is a feeling that you can choose to feel through your beliefs around yourself, a person, or the situation. That choice leads to trusting actions. It can sound like, yes, you can take the car tonight. Yes, you may take money from my wallet to use. Yes, you can go to that event with your friends. No, I don't need to check your grades. No, I don't need to follow through with anything. I know that you're going to do that. Because you're thinking things like, they'll take care of it. This is a good learning opportunity either way. I can't wait to see what happens. That's one of my favorites. If you don't really know if they're going to follow through or not, just being wildly curious. I can't wait to see what happens, what they do, how this plays out. You can think things like, they're responsible. They will call me if there's a problem. These are all trusting thoughts. We want to use both our emotional and logical brain, 2 different ways of thinking, to make the choice to trust in any given situation. They both add value and can be appropriate in most cases, and typically it's a little bit of both. We're going to use a little bit of logic and a little bit of emotion to decide if we want to trust the situation, our teen, other people in the story. Emotional trust in how your gut is guiding you. You might have the best kid ever. It could be the most fun situation, and your gut tells you not to trust. Funny story, my Dominican Republic son, as a teenager, he wanted to go ride a horse that his friend had or something, and his mom said no. And he begged and said it would be so fun. I want to do it. And she kept telling him no. And you know how teenagers can just press you until finally you're like, sure, do whatever you want. Just leave me alone. That's essentially what happened. So he went and rode the horse, and he got thrown from the horse. So his mom was making a gut decision, and he was making a gut decision, an emotional decision, and one of them served and one of them didn't. And it's a really valuable lesson because he learned to trust his mom's gut. And when she said, seems fine on paper, but I don't think it's a good idea, he learned to listen to that. We also want to use logic. Your kid wants to go to a concert, for example. One of my girls wanted to see Benson Boone. He was playing less than an hour from our house, and she had recently gotten her license. She's just 16. We'd been to a Taylor Swift concert together, but that's the only other concert that she had been to. And I was really nervous about being able to trust the situation. I am concerned about predators in public places and car accidents, and you know how your imagination runs wild. But I decided to go with logic to make the decision to trust. So you want to make your choice to trust or not trust as best you can, knowing that nobody gets off without accidents, lies, bad things sometimes. Your job is to do your best, not to foresee the future. So that's essentially what trust is. What trust is not is something to be earned, proven, or held over your child as a privilege that they somehow have to manage. That doesn't end well. I know it makes sense, and this is how people typically sell trust. Not as good as what I'm going to teach you throughout this podcast. Trust is not something that you finally feel after X amount of days or weeks from a breach of trust. I had a client once, and his daughter had made some pretty bad choices. And rightfully so, he's like, I don't think that I can trust her. And I made him list off all of the things that she would have to do in order for him to be able to choose to trust her. The irony is that previously in our conversation, he had been saying all of those things. So she was doing all of the things now. She was checking off his boxes, and he still wasn't trusting her. Because trust is a choice. It is not something that just you have this change of heart that, after 2 weeks or 2 years, and they're doing all the right things, and you're like, oh, today's the day. Trust is going to rain down on me. No, trust is a choice. It's not something that just happens. Trust is also not a prerequisite to loving, having fun, or having a close connection with your teen. Trust is not knowing everything before you can trust or feel better. Going through your kid's phone, fact-checking everything they tell you with other parents that your kid is with their kid, knowing all the details around the drama isn't going to validate trust. Be smart, don't hover, don't be manipulative. If you wouldn't want what you're doing, how you're parenting, published for everyone to see, for everyone to know, don't do it. And don't expect it to give you peace of mind or more comfort in trusting. You will be disappointed. Snoopy parents don't trust more. And typically, they don't have a better success rate of figuring out what their kid is doing and preventing what they dislike. It just damages the relationship. So don't think that knowing intimately all of their relationships of their friends and who they're dating or going through their phone, that's not going to build trust for you. Sorry, not sorry. But I will say number 3, what builds trust and what breaks it. These key actions can either strengthen or damage your relationship. When parents act in poor integrity, like not having respect for their child, basically anything that you wouldn't appreciate as treatment of you, but you're doing it to your teenager, they're not going to like it. Here are some common parenting fails that break trust. Never admitting fault. Saying, I was wrong. Or saying, I'm sorry. Or showing any kind of weakness or imperfection. Parents who act superhuman to save face or exude a certain persona don't have close relationships with their kids. Don't be fake. I love Jennifer Finlayson Fife, and she says the best way to win trust is to admit where you are untrustworthy, or to show your authentic self, in other words. The best way to build trust is to say, I got that wrong. I'm sorry. Imagine how much more you'd trust your kid if they said, Mom or Dad, I've been sneaking my phone most nights since last year, looking at stuff late into the night on my phone that I know you wouldn't like, and I can't stop, and I need your help. Now, maybe you wouldn't want to trust them to manage their phone by themselves because they are breaking their own trust. They can't even do that, and that's why they've asked for help. But you would trust them to come to you. You would trust that they trust you enough to accept them, to help them, that you love them. That's huge. Another way that parents break trust is thinking that your teen's future is doomed because of what's happening. And then parenting from that headspace, freaking out over homework, chores, who they're dating, life decisions, any of that kind of stuff. Why? Because this can reveal a place where you want their life to be how you want it, not how they're choosing it. Adults, you and I and our peers who have had parents like this, they choose their college degree or where they attend or who they date or marry or how their wedding should be. They never got the freedom that they wanted. And this can break trust. There's a thing called doll syndrome, I think is the word. It's not fun being on the receiving end of being somebody's prize or trophy or a means of them propping themselves up and feeling good. It's hard to trust the person who is using us to fulfill their life dreams. And I know that you know people like this because we all know people like this, or we are people like this. Either our parents did this to us or a sibling, or we've seen it within our peers. We don't want to do that to our kids. That breaks trust. Breaking promises is a pretty obvious one, especially when it's to get what we want as a parent out of our child. It can sound like, catch up on your homework and then you can have your phone back. And then they do it, but now they also need to do the chores. Like, oh, yeah, but you haven't done your dishes, so also do those. We don't want to break promises, even if they're little like that. We want to say, great, here's your phone. Please don't turn it on, or please don't sit down and scroll, or answer your text really quick, and then I need you to come do your dishes. That's so much better, and it maintains trust. When we don't follow through, maybe you say you'll take them and their friends to an amusement park, but they invited a friend that you think's a bad influence, so you don't want to take them. Or anything else that you've said you do, and then you change your mind because you don't like it. A huge one that's very damaging is choosing another over your child. This is super common when you have an immature or abusive partner. When one parent gets all upset all over everyone and the other excuses their behavior as them having a hard day, or they had a rough childhood and we just need to make space for them and allow them to behave badly because it's easier for us just to take it than to put up boundaries. This type of behavior kills trust in both parents. They aren't putting children first in their bad behavior and lack of accountability. So we definitely want to choose our child's safety first. And when we don't, we break trust with them. There are so many ways that we can establish or break trust. But again, if you wouldn't want the world to see your secret behaviors at home, then it's something to look at for improving. Now, you may be thinking, but I don't want to earn their trust. I'm listening because I want my kid to become trustworthy for me. Tell me how to get them to earn my trust. Well, my friend, if I could bottle that up and sell it, I'd be so rich I wouldn't need to be doing a podcast. I'd be living my best life in Bora Bora with some stingrays. But here's the truth. We can influence our kids. We do influence our kids every day, whether we mean it or not. And that's all we got. The best way to influence them, to try to get them to be trustworthy, isn't through taking things away to cajole them into behaving how we want. It isn't by convincing or bribing or threatening or getting them to do anything. Our best mode of getting what we want out of them is by becoming trustworthy in the best of ways ourselves and modeling that for them so that they can pick it up and model it back to us should they choose to do so. That's all that it is. We need to go first and model how trust works for them to see. If they trust that you'll freak out every time they fall short, they're learning to trust how you'll be in the future. Lots of clients start to change and their teens are so suspicious of the new parent that my client is becoming. And I love this phase of coaching because their teens are watching them and they'll test them. They'll push their buttons and they'll try to get them to revert back into what they trust their parent will do. Eventually, they begin to respond differently to their parent who is learning better parenting strategies, and they're starting to trust that their parent might actually be for real improving. This is the trust that we have control over ourselves, how we choose to evolve and become better and show our kids that's how much they matter to us. And unironically, it's all you need for a happy, functional relationship with them. Hi there. I just want to pause and let you know if you are struggling to make sense of your teens' behaviors, emotions are running wild, and you're looking to turn things around to have the family you dreamed of while rocking them to sleep, I would love to talk to you. I want to give you a special, powerful gift. 30 minutes with me, my friend. You'll walk away with more confidence, clarity, and understanding of what the issue is and your next best step in resolving any situation you bring to me. It's completely free. I love families and want to help yours be wildly happy and successful. Book this call by visiting my website, heatherfraser.com. Remember, Fraser is spelled with a Z-I in the middle. And don't worry, the link is also in the show notes. I look forward to meeting and helping you. 2 more really important points that I want to make about trust. The next one is why trust and love are separate. This could feel confusing, but it's actually really great news because usually parents see trust as so foundational to the relationship and love is so tied into it that becomes really confusing and painful. This can sound like in real time, it hurts my feelings that you don't tell me. You lied to me, therefore you don't love or respect me. How could you break my trust like that? Like your feelings as the parent were the whole point. I promise they weren't. Or I can never see them the same after what they have done. They have broken my trust. They have lied. They have cheated. They have stolen, whatever it is. And they're just not my little baby anymore. Essentially, love has been affected by their lack of trustability. Their love of you, your love of them. That is a lie. Trust and love are separate. There is love and there is trust. They're 2 different things. When we try to overlap through expectations of what our kids should be, or they have expectations of what we should be as a parent, We label it love, but it's not. It's trying to extract a feeling out of the other person. And there's one situation that I can think of where this is valid, and it's safety. Especially when your child is to extract a feeling of safety from you and sees that as a loving behavior. Because as a parent, we are supposed to provide and protect our child. For example, a teen saying to you, you don't love them when you break the trust of safety and put them at risk for your benefit. Picture your teen telling you that a certain family member is unkind or makes them uncomfortable. They may or may not have evidence to this, but you still make them attend family functions with these said people for your benefit. That is a breach of trust, and that is not an act of love for your child. But for you and I, the adults with autonomy, there isn't so much overlap around expectations and love and trust. You expect your kid to be honest, and when they lie to you, you think that they don't love you. You're falling for the false gold of conditional love in this situation, which isn't love at all. It's just trying to use other people to feel good or valuable. Parents often lose love for themselves as well when they can't trust their teen. It sounds like, I have failed. My kid isn't a good kid and it's my fault. I must not be a good parent. This is also a lie. I want you to picture a 3-year-old. Maybe your same teenager when they were a toddler. Would you trust them to be home alone for the weekend? Would you trust them to always be honest? Would you trust them to cross the street safely or eat a healthy dinner if left to themselves? No. Do you still love them like crazy? Does their inability to make good choices make them less lovable? Do you see how ridiculous it sounds when we see the age appropriateness? Would you judge them and think that you failed if they choose a bowl of ice cream over vegetables if given a chance? No, you haven't failed. It's age appropriate, and you can separate out love and the decision to trust because the expectation is not in your way. You expect a 3-year-old toddler to need your help, to make good choices with guidance, not necessarily on their own, to want things that are bad for them. It's hilarious when you look on social media and there are the reels of the kids who have cried because they couldn't eat the trash or they wanted the dog treat too with the dog and the parent doesn't let them have things. And it's funny and cute. Same thing with our teenagers. They don't have a fully developed brain, and even adults with fully developed brains aren't 100% trustworthy. So let's talk about the last point that I want to make, how trust isn't necessary to parent well. A lot of people think that it's the foundation of effective parenting or one of those foundational pieces. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. What we want to focus on instead for the best results is love. We always want to choose unconditional love. Here's where I want you to start, my friend. This is your pivot for the week. Choose to trust that they're going to do whatever they do today that they did yesterday. So if that's lying about their weekend 9 times out of 10, trust they're going to lie about their plans for the weekend 9 times out of 10. And I'm sure they could trust that you'll blow up their phone, show up where they're at, whatever it is that you normally do. Get mad at them, take their phone, whatever behaviors are typical for you. They're going to trust that you're going to do those things as well. Now, I want to point out that this is a low-level trust, and it can erode love and fun when we need them to behave differently to feel loved, important, like things are going to be okay. This is really corrosive to our relationship. However, when we can drop the expectation that they should be trustworthy and embrace the expectation of 9 times out of 10, they're going to spin that story real hard, then it is so much easier to love. when we just expect that they're going to be them. And when we can free up all of that judgment and resentment and hurt, then we have so much more brain space and energy to parent better. Again, we have the ability to love no matter what, and the ability to use both logic and emotion to make a choice of when to trust and when to not. They're two completely separate feelings that lead very different actions, and those actions lead to very opposite results. So we're going to start with you, my friend, the parent. And I want you to trust that they are going to be them, your spouse, your teen. They're going to do all of their usual behaviors, desired and undesired. And when you can remove the expectation for you and for them, love is easier. I want you to love them all the while. Sometimes this is easier for me when I picture them as a child, still figuring it all out through trial and error. Because that's actually the truth. They are. Just like your toddler had to figure out what a hot stove did, sometimes our teenagers have to figure out what speeding tickets do. Both are age appropriate. Judgment and anger and blame, these things, they don't help you out. And they damage your relationship with your teenager. Have rules, have consequences. I did a whole podcast on those two topics. It's Letter of the Law is the title of that if you want to search it. But when you can separate love and the choice to trust through dropping expectations that things should be different and expect them to be exactly as they are, life is so much better. And you can trust that they'll tell you what they want, when they want, how you want, and you can love them, and you can trust yourself to choose to love and support yourself and them. And it is such a peaceful place, and it builds trust. Being 100% honest is a huge part of this process to yourself and to them, that nobody's perfect, that we all make mistakes, that we all break each other's trust, including our own. And it doesn't have to be a problem. It's not a deal breaker if you can love your child. So to wrap up, again, focus on love. This requires acceptance. This is not allowance or condoning of unhealthy behaviors, but acceptance of what is happening. Like a toddler who just swallowed a bunch of marbles and took a Sharpie to the couch. It's going to be okay. I love you, and we're going to rectify the situation with love, trying to drop the judgment and unkindness. And if you need help doing this, there is no shame in that. I have a couple of client spots. One of them could be yours. I work with my clients for 4 months, and by the end of our 4 months, they are in such an improved position in their headspace of how they think about and feel about themselves, about their teenager, and they are in such an improved position with their child, with their spouse, with pretty much everyone they have a relationship with. Because, spoiler, the best part about coaching, parents come to me for coaching on their teen, but it affects every relationship that they have. The one with themselves, the one with their spouse, kids, everybody. Because skills are skills. I would love to talk with you. You can book your consult by clicking the link in my show notes. Talk to you soon.